Did you know that South Korea has 9 low-cost airlines? Today we're going to check one of them out on Tway's new A330s. Hi there, my name is Kevin. This channel came from a love of traveling, a love of the full process, and the journey itself. I feature airline trip reports and high-end hotel reviews from all over the world. My reviews aren't sponsored by airlines or hotels, so you can be sure to get my unbiased and honest opinion. Am I an expert? You can decide. Am I fair? Yeah, I am. Let's get into it. Welcome to Seoul. If you'd like to know the exact fare that I paid for my flight, or my next 5 videos in queue, please check out the description below. Today we're at Seoul's Incheon Airport, Terminal 1, to catch our flight to Tokyo Narita. Now, if you've ever flown into Seoul or Tokyo, you're likely asking yourself, why the hell would he choose Incheon and Narita? Does he like to punish himself? For those of you that don't know, Seoul has 2 airports. The smaller Gimpo Airport, which does have flights to Tokyo, is closer to Seoul itself. Likewise, Tokyo has 2 airports, and Haneda is much closer to Tokyo Center. Well, I didn't want to fly an airline that I've already reviewed or have booked for later this year, and I love short, wide-body flights. The only other airline that fits that bill is Zip Air, but I was supposed to fly them 4 days after this, but they canceled my flight. Anyway, here I am. I love the banner-style signage that they have at the check-in desks here. Makes it much easier to find your airline. And here is ours. Tway is a very interesting airline that traces its roots back to 2005 when they began flying as Hansung Air. In 2010, they rebranded as Tway. Want to know what that T stands for? Together, today, and tomorrow. Groundbreaking stuff, right? I do love the little signs here though, reminding you to put your ginseng and gochujang in your checked-in baggage. I took a chance today and didn't book any baggage in advance for this flight. Carry-on allowance is 10 kilos, and I'm usually around 13, but luckily they didn't weigh anything. We'd be taking off from the satellite concourse today, so it was a bit of a walk and a train to get there. On our way over, let's do a little bit of plane spotting and talk a bit about Tway. After their rebranding, they were on a steady course and achieved a profit for the first time in 2013. Currently, they have 31 aircraft in the fleet with 6 on order. The most recent interesting development being that in February of last year, they received their first of 3 A330s, and have recently began flying non-stop to Sydney, their first long-haul destination. Besides Sydney, they fly to 49 other destinations in the region, and this month launched flights to Bishkek in Kyrgyzstan as well. Have you ever been on a website and thought that it was so bad that it somehow came full circle and became absolute gold? Yeah, that's how I feel about Tway's website. There are a couple of gems that I'd just like to quickly share. The first one being, and this is completely real, this is what you see when you navigate to the airline's history page. The cover of their story is a photo of firefighters resuscitating someone, a reenactment I'm sure, with the caption, quote, "The January Boeing MAX Conference." The next gem, and I'm going to conclude it with this one, is their company information page, specifically where they describe their logo. Please note that there are some grammatical issues lost in translation. I'm not poking fun at that. I'm poking fun at the actual content. When describing the colors of the logo, quote, "The carnival red, which reminds me of a cheerful and pleasant festival, and the merger of Scotland and England constitute the Great Britain Kingdom. It means a commitment to create a new future for the aviation industry based on the spirit of Twayers, using Queen Anne's green color, which symbolizes British prime time." What? I just lost about 17 brain cells. Anyway, let's get to the gate. Was lucky enough to catch Asiana's last remaining 747-400 on the apron. The satellite concourse is a straight shot of a building with gates on either side. There were no lounges here though, so the child in me was bouncing from window to window filming every plane that I saw, as if I've never seen one before. Gotta admit though, that Carnival Red and Queen Anne Green logo does look really good on a wide-body aircraft. They could really rename this concourse the Vietnam Concourse, since it felt like 80% of the flights from here were going to Vietnam. Insane that there's a direct flight from Seoul to Dalat. How times have changed for that sleepy mountain town. And this has to be one of the cooler clips that I've shot in quite a long time. Both 747-8 freighters. And there's something I don't see every day, but I guess we are kinda close to Mongolia, relatively speaking. Time to board, which began just about 5 minutes behind schedule. As for today's flight stats, we pushed back 8 minutes behind schedule and made our way up to 35,000 feet for the 2-hour flight to Tokyo, where we landed 15 minutes early. Once on board, the cabin is surprisingly smart for a low-cost carrier. Their A330s do have a small business class cabin up front, with the vast majority, of course, back here in economy. The seats with red headrests are extra legroom seats available for an extra fee. .38 Alpha will be my home for today. The seat itself was comfortable enough, but it was slimline, so there's a limit to how comfortable it could actually be. Legroom for a short flight like this was fine. Seatmaps.com claim that it's 31 to 32 inches of pitch, but there is absolutely no way that that's true. This is 30 inches tops. I couldn't do this for a 10-hour flight to Sydney, comfortably at least. Also, no overhead air vents, and despite them not having an in-flight entertainment system, there was still a big old box under my seat, taking up valuable legroom. Each seat did have a USB port though, and a tray table with an integrated tablet holder. Pushback began, and we continued a bit more plane spotting on the way to the runway. We'd be taking off to the south. The spool up, takeoff, and airport stats are coming up next. It was really overcast in Seoul today, but luckily, it's always blue up here. There was a nice National Geographic Traveler Tway edition at each seat, as well as a buy on board menu card. I pre-ordered a bulgogi beef rice meal, which I purchased with my ticket, and I was served a few minutes after the seatbelt sign went off, the crew passing out the pre-orders first. I would have preferred a wee bit more moisture of some sort, but overall, it was good enough and hit the spot for a quick lunch. And given the insanity to enter Japan, I'm glad that I ate when I did. A quick trip to the bathroom revealed a very standard setup. And everyone in the forward section was behaving well. As we crossed over the Japanese coastline, we were treated to some really incredible views of the mountains to the north of Nagano, which hosted the 1998 Winter Olympics. Heading into Narita, we did a bit of zigzagging before lining up for our final approach. So, when creating a flight or a hotel review, what do you think are the most important characteristics about those reviews? To me, to make a fully, truly unbiased review, two things need to be absolutely true. First, I need to pay a fare or a hotel rate that is publicly available and receive no special treatment or compensation from the hotel or airline whatsoever. Second, I need to film anonymously. So rest assured, knowing that this video today is exactly what I say it is, an unbiased review. And that's why your likes, comments, and subscriptions mean so much. They really do help the channel continue to grow and put out this twice weekly, and soon 3 times weekly, content. My Patreon is also linked below. I'm very seriously considering a Hawaii trip next year and would love to get there on one of these. We had a quick taxi to the gate, and that's when the real journey actually began. Some of you may have already seen my community post last month about a 3-hour entry procedure at Narita. Yeah, that was this day. It was an absolute mess. Keep in mind this was in March. We landed at 1:30 in the afternoon, and I got to my hotel in Ginza just before 6 p.m. So, Tway was a thoroughly pleasant experience. I wouldn't seek them out in economy for long haul, but for short haul, or perhaps their business class for long haul, I'd be happy to try them out again. But the truth is, I still have 7 other Korean low-cost carriers to try first, not to mention Korean Air and Asiana as well. I really do hope that you enjoyed this trip report today. If you did, please be sure to click that thumbs up button and subscribe so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos from the Hyatt Centric in Ginza, the Okura Tokyo, and a pair of business class flights on Korean Air down to Singapore. Oh, and thanks for watching until the end.